So, Kansas voters reject anti-abortion measure in first state vote since Roe versus Wade reversal. And this says vote no on August 2nd. Voters in the state of Kansas flocked to the polls Tuesday to strike down an anti-abortion ballot measure in a forceful rebuke of the Supreme Court's recent reversal of Roe versus Wade. The non-binding referendum that would have cleared the way for lawmakers to ban or restrict abortion was the first time voters in the U.S. were asked to weigh in on the right to choose since the High Court overturned 5 decades of federal reproductive protections in June. Kansas voted against Amendment 2 by a margin of 62% to 38%, with 76% of precincts reporting Tuesday night. The large margin came amid nationwide discontent over the reversal of Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court's extreme decision to overturn Roe v. Wade put women's health and lives at risk. Tonight, the American people had something to say about it, President Biden said in a statement. This vote makes clear what we know. The majority of Americans agree that women should have access to abortion and should have the right to make their own health care decisions. Voting on the proposition was less bipartisan than usual because it was open to Kansas's more than 500,000 unaffiliated voters on a primary day when the state's registered voters were choosing gubernatorial candidates. If passed, the measure would have cleared the way for the state legislature to overturn a 2019 state Supreme Court decision that protected the procedure in the Kansas Bill of Rights. Proponents of the measure in Topeka wouldn't say if they would have moved to ban abortion if it had passed. No, because they're not that stupid, right? As they sought to gain votes from moderates who supported abortion restrictions, not outright prohibition. Well, I'll tell you one thing. They woke up a lot of women because regardless how you feel about the issue, if you're a woman and you realize all of a sudden you're pregnant and you know it's going to affect your life, your career, years ahead, because having a child is a big responsibility. And things happen. And not only that, I saw a woman with her husband on TV, and the child they were having definitely could not survive outside the womb. The child, apparently, the brain was outside of something of the body. And the way it was situated was that if you do an abortion, that would be illegal, Yeah, if you do an abortion. And it's to save the life of the mother. So that means the way the law was written in the state she is lives in is that, I think this was Texas, you would have to go like full term with this child. That is going to die anyway, once you give birth. So it's like you're fooling yourself. You got to carry the child to full term. The child is going to die eventually, soon, as you give birth. And, I mean, who wants to be put through that? So these are people who were looking to have kids. It's not like your typical somebody wants to have an abortion. These were people, this was a couple that were looking forward to having a child. Only thing, the child wasn't going to survive. So the best thing was an abortion. However, the way Texas law is, they're not allowed to have an abortion. So they had to go to another state. Yeah. So these are the negatives here. The Republican-led legislature, we're talking about Kansas now, has spent decades pursuing new limitations, and lawmakers in 10 other states in the Midwest and Deep South had recently implemented abortion bans, including neighboring Oklahoma and Missouri. And Missouri is like east, right next door to Kansas, the east of Kansas. Activists on both sides of the issue have spent $14 million lobbying voters in the state, including abortion providers and the anti-abortion Catholic Church. Chandler Alton, 28, of Overland Park, voted against Amendment 2. Abortion is health care, and the government shouldn't have a say on whether women receive what could be life-saving care. Right, like in the case of the woman from Texas I was just talking about. Chances are she could have died during the pregnancy. Alton said, adding that she would support candidates who wouldn't let this kind of thing happen. Governor Laura Kelly won the Democratic nomination for re-election easily Tuesday. So the governor there in Kansas happens to be a Democrat. Stephanie Kostreva, a 40-year-old Democrat from Olathe, voted to approve the measure due to her Christian religious beliefs. Yeah? Well, not everybody share your same beliefs, lady, I mean, it's okay. It's okay for you, but if you don't believe in abortion, then you don't have one, But what about the person who might find it necessary, or the person who might have to save their own life, So why are you going to vote to approve something, that you're 40 years old, chances are you ain't going to have to worry about, abortion anymore, or so forth. But yet you want to deny some woman who may be in a predicament. Yeah, I think that's wrong. I think a lot of people are selfish. I'm not full scale that there should never be an abortion, she said. I know there are medical emergencies, and when the mother's life is in danger, there is no reason for two people to die. Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen. Abortion is currently illegal in Kansas until a woman is in her 22nd week of pregnancy. GOP-led efforts to pass lighter restrictions have been hampered in recent years by federal court decisions and Democratic leaders like Governor Laura Kelly, who won her party's nomination Tuesday. Kelly will face off against newly minted Republican nominee Derek Schmidt in her bid for a second term. Okay, so here they did open up the comment section for conversation, and somebody by the handle of Texas Aunt J says, this is not a rebuke of the Supreme Court's reversal. It is validation of that decision. The state made their choice, as is their right. Well, I don't think it should be the right of the state. I think it should be the right of the person, the woman. I think a woman in America should be able to step into any state. Should be able to step in any state. Put your stand in those 4 states like Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and I think what's the other one? I think it's Nevada. Where you could just step there on that line, and you go from one state to the other, where those four states meet. So if a woman steps into any one of those states, she should have the same rights. She shouldn't have to worry about what state am I in. If my foot is standing in Colorado, or if it's standing in Arizona or New Mexico or Arizona or Nevada. No, it shouldn't be that way. It should be you have the same right, certain rights. The rights shouldn't be up to the state. That's not something the state should have. So I disagree with this opinion here about the validation of that decision. The state made their choice. No, the state didn't make their choice. The voters made the choice. Because if the state made their choice, then they would have voted for yes, right, on the question, which would throw it to the legislature, and the legislature will in turn go ahead and make laws regarding abortion in Kansas. So that would have been the state right. So this lady here is absolutely wrong. This was not the state making their choice. And this person, B. Thompson, who said totally agree, she's wrong too. She's wrong. It's the people who made the choice. People who made the choice. So people making the choice shows that it is within their right, and they go on by what's enshrined in the Constitution of Kansas, the state of Kansas. That's what they go on by. See? All right.